Okay, let's get right into it. We're going to take a really hard look at the world of modern knowledge and the institutions that are supposed to guard it. I want to explore a pretty provocative idea. What if the very places we trust to create and protect wisdom are actually, well, what if they're doing the exact opposite? Now, to even begin to unpack this, we have to start with an idea that might make us a little uncomfortable today. It's the concept of a natural hierarchy. See, in this view, real justice isn't about making everything flat and equal. It's about putting things in their proper, rightful place. And the most important hierarchy of all? It's that knowledge must and should always stand above ignorance. And that brings us straight to the modern university. You know, this elite institution, the supposed guardian of all that knowledge, the very peak of that intellectual pyramid. The core argument I'm exploring here is that this institution is suffering from a really deep internal sickness.
I mean, we've all heard the sales pitch, right? Academia is this incredible force for good. It's the engine of progress, the place we go to solve society's biggest problems. It's supposed to be a beacon of enlightenment that shines a light on all the dark corners of the world. It sees itself as the great reformer.
But what if the exact opposite is true? What if, instead of being a place of life and vibrant discovery, the modern university has become a place where the life of the mind goes to die? This argument suggests that curious, passionate minds walk in and are then slowly, well, embalmed by a system that's just spiritually hollow, intellectually arrogant, and kind of poisoned by its own methods.
And you can see the symptoms everywhere if you look. Think about the jargon, right? This endless, paralyzing language that makes simple things sound incredibly complicated and basically just keeps outsiders out. Then there's this built-in hostility to tradition, to faith, to anything really that claims wisdom can come from outside its own narrow secular box. It breeds this intellectual arrogance that just dismisses the lived experience of everyday people. And underneath it all, there's this profound spiritual emptiness. A system that's great at defining problems, but then just gets lost analyzing them forever instead of actually finding a solution.
So the obvious question is, okay, so why not just fix it? You know, why can't good, smart people get in there and reform the system from the inside? And look, it's a noble thought, but from this perspective, it's basically a fool's errand. And here's why. The institution isn't some neutral playing field. It's a closed loop. It's this rigid body that's basically designed to do two things and two things only: assimilate anyone who's willing to conform and push out anyone who isn't. It's fundamentally built to resist any change to its core identity.
It's like a fortress with really high walls. To even get in the door, you have to completely submit to its methods, its way of seeing the world. You can argue about the little details all you want, but if you question the fundamental assumptions, that's not tolerated. And notice how its big paradigm shifts only ever seem to go in one direction, further and further away from tradition, from faith, from any idea of transcendence. And if you try to challenge it from the outside, well, you're either drowned in jargon you can't understand or just canceled, exiled to the fringes as an intellectual nobody.
So this gets us to the absolute heart of the problem. It forces us to ask a really deep question. What even is knowledge? Because the distinction we're about to make, well, it perfectly illustrates the central flaw of the whole modern academic project. To really get this, let's do a little thought experiment. Imagine a beautiful, powerful poem about love and heartbreak. You know, something that really cuts to the bone. Now, there are two totally different ways to know this poem. So on one side, you have the academic professor. They can break down the grammar, count every syllable, analyze the literary devices, and write a genius paper on its structure. They hold information about the poem. But then, on the other side, you have the lover. Someone who has actually lived the gut-wrenching heartbreak and the desperate longing that the poem is about. They don't just know the words, they know the wound. They don't analyze the longing, they feel it in their bones. They haven't just studied the poem's soul, their soul has become the poem. The professor holds information, the lover is the knowledge.
And that right there is the crucial point. Modern academia has become obsessed with collecting the exoskeleton, the facts, the data, the external structures. But it's forgotten that for knowledge to be real, there has to be a living being inside. Knowledge that doesn't change you, that doesn't touch your soul, it's not really knowledge at all. It's just a collection of lifeless facts.
So because of all this, the argument isn't to try and fix this broken system. It's to point to a completely different path. It's about recognizing a parallel, living alternative that, frankly, has been here the whole time.
And this is the real kicker. This isn't about building new universities or starting rival schools. No, it's about a radical shift in perspective.
It's about realizing that true knowledge belongs to the people who live it, not just the people who dissect it. And from that point of view, the real academia, it's already here. It's been hiding in plain sight.
This alternate academia isn't a building or an institution. It's a state of being. You find it in living traditions, in faith communities, in the wisdom passed down from a master craftsman to an apprentice, from one heart to another, not just from a textbook to an exam paper. And its goal isn't just to analyze the world, it's to use knowledge to transform yourself so you can better serve humanity.
And this other path is built on a foundation of 4 really powerful pillars, drawn from classical wisdom. First, all knowledge has to serve a higher purpose. That's deen. Second, it's not enough to just collect information. You have to apply it with wisdom, or hikmah. Third, when you act with wisdom, that leads to justice, or adil, which really means putting everything in its right and proper order. And finally, you live all of this out through a code of proper conduct, or adab, which is all about shaping who you are as a person.
And let's be super clear, this isn't some abstract utopian idea. The people who carry this kind of living knowledge, they're already here. They're all around us. They're the artists, the craftsmen, the saints, the mystics, the wise grandmothers. They're the people whose knowledge is proven not by a list of publications, but by the integrity and beauty of their lives. In this view, they are the real scholars.
So all of this leaves us with one final big question to think about for ourselves. We spend so much of our lives trying to accumulate information, right? Trying to cram our heads full of facts. But what if we've had it backwards this whole time? What if the true purpose of learning was never about knowing more, but about using what we know to become more?